Go.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
It is Linda and Carrie here today.
Yay.
Yay, we got Carrie. She's
Yes.
always in the background. We're always saying, Carrie. This is Carrie. So Elaine's gone. She had her surgery last Thursday. She wanted to share that she thanks everyone for all your concerns and well wishes and prayers for her. But she's actually, she texted me yesterday and said she was doing better than expected. And she was a little bit scared because this was her second knee replacement, so she knew what it was going to be like. But she says it's actually a little bit better, so yay for Elaine. So we know she's probably watching.
Speedy recovery.
Yes, yes. But not too speedy because, you know, some people try to push it too much and then they just get a setback. But I don't think she's going to do that. She's not going to do that. But welcome to Sierra Sewing, Quilting, and Vacuums in Reno and Carson City, Nevada. We're here for our short and sweet, what's new, Wednesday morning. And as usual, everything is 15% off that we are showing today from right this moment until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. No matter what time you watch, you can always get in there and get your discount. You can get onto our website to make your purchases right here on the page you see, or you can go to sierrasewing.com, go to the red tape at the top, see live, click on that, see the picture of Miggy and Elaine, and click on that, and you will get to all of our sales that are going on.
So if you are
today.
viewing after the 24 hours, you can still find these products in that same category, in the live category. You just won't get that 15% off. But they are still there as our featured live.
Plus, you could go to the
products.
other headings and see what other fabrics
Yes.
and notions that we have on there.
So you can combine your order too.
And sewing machines, yes, yes. All right, anything over $100 is free shipping anywhere in the United States, continental United States. And
Local customers can do store pickup.
either here in Reno or down in Carson City. Just make a notation when you make your purchase. Make sure you share us. Get all your friends across the country. We have that happening. Seeing what we have on sale and just seeing our website in general. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with this absolutely beautiful quilt behind us. We did this one is a bit of it's a more of a muted color. We've had a lot of bright stuff right now, and so when we got this one in, honestly, when the fabrics are just by themselves, we're going, oh. But when it went all together, it's absolutely, it's beautiful, yes. And this one's called Field and Furrows.
So these are batiks, a batik quilt, and the quilt itself is a really fun piecing project. So it's traditional piecing, so many unique blocks in it, and the way it's put together. So it's traditional piecing, not too hard. There's just very basic, really fun blocks to put together. So a beautiful quilt.
It's a 63 by 81, and everybody always gets scared of anything little, but all these squares. But these are sewn like in the strips, and then you just cut them. It's not you're not cutting every single little square out like we used to do.
Right.
I don't know why it takes us discover how to do things differently sometimes, but. This is a fun one. This is not a quilt in a day, but this is a quilt you're absolutely going to love when you're finished with it. And again, it regular price is $189.99. At 15% off of that, I'm not sure what that comes out to. Maybe Jared can tell us, but
what was the price?
$189.99. And it is $63.
$27 off.
It's $27 off. 63 by 81. And it has everything you have on the top, and it has the binding
And the pattern.
And the pattern. And let me show you. Write this down. The backing that came with it is absolutely gorgeous. It is a wide back.
So this backing fabric is beautiful. It's darker, so it's not as neutral, but the greens and that purple hue match beautifully. So a really pretty batik, wide back. So you'll need exactly 2 yards of this wide back for the quilt backing.
All
And
right.
that'll be plenty to send it to your quilter.
And I have to share something with you, just because someone told me the other day, you and Elaine are there and you're talking along, showing things, and all of a sudden, Jared puts in a comment about something, or answers the questions for us, and they said his voice kind of is like, because he has
The manly voice.
that strong voice
Yeah.
that we all know. So
Yeah.
don't let him startle you.
Well, I even have my microphone is a lower volume.
So
yours?
did you hear that? It's at a lower volume. So can you imagine what it's really like?
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh.
No, it's just a nice, strong voice.
Yeah, he's not
All
excessively
right,
loud.
Why don't we start with the
Down here?
really cute,
Oh, okay. Well, then I have to choose the-
adorable- Oh my gosh. I had forgotten we got this.
All right, so we have some fun woodland animals. Rabbits and squirrels, really soft.
Raccoon.
Raccoons, a deer in the
deer.
wreath.
Look at the deer's ears.
Yeah, very
Little
fun.
fox. And I like this because it is, I don't know if you can tell, it is tossed. So it's not directional on that one. So that one.
And there's like a wood grain background to it, so it's a very woodsy, very fun.
And here are all those little animals. That's the squirrel and the owl, butterfly, and the blue background. This one is directional. I love that, I guess you don't call it a rabbit, you call it a hare. Their ears are that big? Is that how you tell the difference between a rabbit and a hare? I don't know. But they're all cute little animals.
All right, and we have lots of coordinates that go with it. This is a pine cone in the blue. It also comes in the cream. Very small, tossed, so very easy to use for small sashing or block borders.
Yes, and that, the small animal one that I just showed you, the blue background, also comes with the peach cream background. This is tossed mushrooms. Mushrooms are still.
They're not going away.
No, they're very popular.
And then a very fun plaid.
This would make a very, if you have a pattern at home for a child's blanket, this would be a very,
Yes.
very sweet blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the mushrooms. come in
Very
brown.
neutral
And
boy.
You showed the pine cones,
I did, yeah.
and this is the mushrooms, and that's the mushroom brown.
Sweet collection.
Yes. All right, next, I'll let Carrie go on with that. Oops, somebody's phone's ringing there.
All right, let's skip to this one, I guess,
Okay.
right? All right, so everybody loves Jason Yenter. This is a few pieces from his latest collection called I Dream in Color.
Sounds you.
Somebody's trying to get a hold of us, so sorry.
I'll keep showing. So here is a fun floral. Jason Yenter's fabrics are so vibrant in color.
Yeah, that's
And
what
we
they say.
chose these blues because who doesn't love blue? Blue is
one.
gorgeous.
I love this one. I get to show this one. Isn't that pretty with the like turquoise, blues, purplish? It's not a real, what would you call that, Carrie?
Lavender?
Yeah.
Periwinkle?
Periwinkle.
Periwinkle?
maybe? A
Oh.
dark bright one. And here's another one of his florals. This would make a very, very vibrant quilt.
And if you're more of a turquoise fan, he also brings in more of the turquoises. Very neat collection.
Did we get this one?
I don't think we showed the cream.
Okay.
So that's kind of an opal. I love this one. Has a really muted print in it, but it's kind of an opal white on white. Very fun color.
This is another dark bright.
Mm-hmm.
This one has lots of florals in it with pinks and greens. And there's a big, I call that, is that butterfly or dragonfly on there? Oh, that one's a butterfly for sure. Different.
So these are my kind of fabrics. I love these just kind of busy, swirly flowers. You can do so much with these.
But they have the toned down a little bit that goes with those also.
Mm-hmm.
The pinks. I call these pink sunflowers. Is there such a thing?
Maybe.
I tell you, it's always fun to go to the nursery every spring, beginning of summer when you're getting flowers, and just see all the different flowers that you've never seen before. I swear, every year I see something going, I've never seen that before.
So here's one that if you look really closely, it's a floral, but there's hearts, and the hearts have tiny little blanket stitches in them. Just a fun fabric to use anywhere.
Anybody's bulbs coming out? I forgot
Yes.
to take a picture. I have bulbs. I have flowers blooming in my side, on the side of my house, on one side of
I don't
it.
have
Wow.
I walked
flowers
around
yet,
there.
but my bulbs are definitely
They're coming up.
Yeah, mine are these little white flowers and little purple flowers. Are really pretty.
So one of my houses, I had a bunch of bulbs in the front yard, and every early spring, one of my kind neighbors would come along and clip them. She'd take them.
Oh! Oh!
She thought she didn't, I don't know, I guess she thought she was unnoticed. Okay.
Right. This is a shop sample that we're featuring this week. That it's for sale. Again, most of these shop samples are not discounted because we give you such a good price on them anyways. This one is at $79.99, and you're going to get a 15% discount on it today if you want it. It is, let me tell you the size, 64 by 58. And let's take it in a little closer, Carrie, and make sure they can see it.
So this was called Go Fish. It's it really popular. This fabric went really fast
Yes.
when we had it. Fishing lines, the trout in there. The quilting on this is actually a trout quilting pattern.
I don't know if you can see it.
Super fun.
So any of you that have fishermen or fisherwomen in your family, this would be really cute.
If you
for
have a
them.
cabin or
Nice surprise for them.
just a wonderful
Yeah.
guy quilt.
I love these. So many people say, I don't know if you can see. They're fish eyeballs.
Yeah.
They're so fun. And then
And the flies, yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
then the fish, and then of course some cord. These are actually fishing rods.
Rods, yeah.
Those are fishing rods. So just a fun quilt to have that we're putting on sale just for the next 24 hours, and then it will go back to regular price with no discount.
Fun quilt. This was a popular pattern.
Yes, it was. That kit went really fast. All right, you want to show them the satchel there?
All right, so we brought in our super satchel. So wonderful project bin, storing your fat quarters. I know it's not easy to keep all your different projects that you have going at one time together. So this is a great way. It's easy to port to class and back, or just keep your projects organized in your sewing room.
And you can put your thread in there.
Yeah,
and
so
your
threads,
scissors and-
notions, any type of, it has a wonderful handle. It opens up all the way. They sell dividers for it if you wanted to put dividers in them. But I have probably 20 of these
Very
in my
organized.
closets.
Very organized.
Yeah. And this one is the same thing but designed for your jelly rolls. So this will keep all your jelly rolls organized. It has
Nice and flat.
nice and flat. It has the little dividers in there, so if you wanted to separate them by color as you're piecing, because you know it's going to take you more than just one sitting, there's some great clamps in there to keep all your colors organized. So your jelly rolls won't get all wrinkled.
All right, and I brought all these they're called zipper pulls in. I said, Carrie, we got to show these. And simply because, I'll give you this one, because this one reminds me of you.
All right.
I was looking through a catalog the other day, and the purses were there, so it was just kind of long, not that I was getting one, but I was amazed at, they have accessories for your purse now, and they have all kinds of zipper pulls. And they look almost exactly what we have here. And I was thinking, what a cute, you can make a purse and put them on. You can buy a purse and get them on. And I was thinking how fun it would be if you don't want them on your purse, but you have a daughter or granddaughter that you could make a little zipper bag, because who doesn't need a zipper bag, and put the cute little zipper pulls on. This one reminded me of our fabric, that we have some cherry fabric, and this is the one that reminded me, oh, wouldn't that be a cute little zipper bag, and just put these little zipper pulls on there.
what a fun way to skip the last step when you're making your bag of creating a fabric zipper pull, and you just buy a cute charm. Easier to grab onto and very decorative. So I'm showing them, so these are the sewing ones. So if you're making we have so many customers that make sewing bags. So these are great zipper pulls for all those little pockets.
Did you show them the palm tree and the flamingo?
I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
did.
That's one. in my
Yes.
hand there. And this one is more, this is the water cannon and the seed packet.
Mm-hmm.
This one I love because the tractor and the seed packet also.
Lucianne asked how much the holders are. I'm guessing Joey roll on that.
Well,
Is it not on our website?
Let me
so the Jelly Roll one is $19.99. They're both $19.99.
less 15%.
Less than
That's,
15% for the 24 hours.
So that's less $3, Lucianne.
Okay.
Yay. All right, so here's some more of my favorites. A pineapple for all those Lori Holt fans. So we have all the charms to match the latest Lori Holt fabric collections. And this is the bumblebee, her all famous bees.
And both of these kind of reminded me of all our hippie 60s girls, and because this one says wildflower. I guess it could be just flowers, bloom and lovely. And this one with the rainbow and the love sign. They should have a peace sign with it too.
So you know what else these zipper pulls are really great for is your jackets. I know Ronnie.
Oh yeah.
Ronnie always has them on her jackets.
Does?
Yes,
Yes.
she has her seasonal ones. So this is the butterfly. He's super cute. And this one is a rose. I think it
And
matches
again,
one of her lines.
It's apparently the popular thing.
Yes.
And I say
Accessorize.
the sewing world started this.
All right.
Because we've had them for a while, and now, the merchandisers out there.
Did you tell them where you saw all of these though?
I saw them in a catalog that yeah.
Well, no, the email you got.
Yeah, it was in an email that I got.
Yeah.
One of the many emails I get, and I just started to look at it, and I looked at the purses, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at
They
all these
have
zipper
all these
pulls
zipper
they
pulls.
have on them. So go ahead, I'll let you
Okay,
go with
so
these.
we also have today, we get a lot of people asking for sewing machine seam guides. So helping them guide their fabrics under their presser foot with that perfect 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, whatever they're doing. If you're doing angles, it's really hard to keep your fabric angled. So we do have products to guide you in that you can add to your sewing machines. So this is called the Sewing Edge, and this is actually like 1/8 of an inch thick rubber. And I guess it's like a rubberized sticker that you press to your sewing machine, so I can kind of show you a picture there. It is removable, so it's vinyl, it's reusable, but there's a few pieces in there. So you just, if you need your 1/4 inch, you just line it up on there with your ruler, and then your fabric just guides along very quickly.
I'm probably going to show my age, but I remember when I was learning how to sew, this was a thing that you screwed onto your sewing machine.
Yes.
And I did clothing,
Yes.
of course, when I first started
Yeah.
sewing, so it was a 5/8 inch seam. It was always set at that, and you would slide it to it.
Yeah.
So this does.
So we
that
do
now.
get a lot of requests for the magnetic ones that are similar to those older style ones, and I highly recommend this type versus that magnetic one. The magnetic ones,
Can shift?
everybody's machine is different. They can shift. They're just not as accurate as if
Right,
you
right,
placed.
these stick on, and they come
vinyl
off,
ones.
They don't leave a residue. It's
Yeah.
not like tape that will leave a residue. So. All right, so I'll let you show these.
All right, so here's another style. This one is actually called, it's a self-adhesive hemline seam tape, and so this one has a couple different lines on it.
Get a little closer, it's not focusing.
Way better there. My finger's probably in the way now.
There you go. That's good.
Yep, so this one has your center line plus your 1/4 inch on each side. So if you're sewing those half square triangles where you sew down the center and then, or on each side of your center line, this is the tape for you for all those half square triangles.
Now that one is a roll of tape, correct?
Yes, this is a roll of tape. So yes, it's 10 yards. So this will last you quite a good amount of
Yeah.
applications.
Because the other stuff can get a little quote unquote unsticky over time, right?
Right, yes, so it is reusable. There's
There's
five adhesive strips in this package. So you do have 5 applications. This is 10 yards of tape, so this you can reapply each time you have a different project.
And the other
to your
thing
machine?
that is really good for is because depending on your machine, like for example, depending on your machine, getting into your bobbin area, stuff like that, having that reusability and or the 10 yards available of that is very nice because getting into
lifting it off.
every single time,
Right.
you're changing that. So it's nice.
I use this one quite often, and it's pretty re-sticky.
Yeah,
It,
yes,
it is. It's easy to
They're
stick
both
and
good
unstick.
products. All right,
All right.
so we're going to head over to Jared now. Thank you for being with me and Carrie today. And,
All right.
We're going to just head over to Jared now.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. I just realized I forgot a couple things. Hey, Carrie,
Uh-oh.
can you run and grab? Do you have an open monofilament?
Yes.
Can you grab one of those and then just a spool of Isocord and Floriani also, please? So today we are talking about threads. I had a couple responses back from the needle talk that I did the other
Yeah,
week.
people enjoyed that.
People enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just one of those. It's just one of those things that you
Education's
don't.
always good.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I
Or
guess
being reminded. Sometimes you
you turn on your car in the morning. You're like, oh, it's running. You know, you put your needle in your machine. It's like, oh, there you go. But you don't know the difference and why it's important to have certain things, right? And that's kind of what we want to talk about
Yeah, so
today. Thank
why in the
you.
heck do we have so many threads?
Yes,
why
why
do
are there
we
so many
need all
threads?
these threads?
Now, I think you guys could see pretty much everything I have on the table here. And I mean, these are just threads that we carry.
Yes.
You know, why do we have all these threads?
Why? Multiple uses.
Yeah, they're
So,
all for different.
they have jobs.
They have different
Jobs.
things. Yeah, there is no one size fits all for every single job that's out there. And there's even more threads out there than what I have. There's a ton more threads that are out there than what I have. But I just want to go through the stuff that we have here in the shop. And so you can see some different things that we want to do. So right off the bat, I'm going to kind of separate these out into kind of your generic
Serger.
threads and your specialty threads. So let's put this one over here, this one over here. We got any other odd ones? Yeah, that one we'll put over here. These ones, we'll put this one in the middle. And all these go over here. Now, this pile over here, well, you can't see all these. Yeah, there we go. So we got this pile over here that, for lack of a better explanation, are your everyday threads.
Yeah.
Right? These are stuff that you're going to use every single day. Then over here in these two, he's kind of our middle line guy. But these two are kind of specialty things that you can use for cool stuff or that you don't necessarily use all the time, but there's absolutely super cool uses for this. And I'm going to give you a heads up because I'm going to ask you this and you have to think of a use before we get to it. It's this one. Because I'm not the best at knowing
extra.
all of these. But there's absolutely uses for it. So going through, we're going to start off with our just regular threads, okay? Now, we have sewing machine threads and we also have serger threads. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about the difference between this guy and these right here. And the major thing that you are going to have in a difference of
This is a serger thread.
This is a serger thread, and these are what you call, sewing machine threads, right? I can use this in a sewing machine, and you can use these in a serger. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But the difference in this cone of thread that we have from these guys is this is what you call a 2-ply thread, okay? And these I think they all are what you call a 3-ply thread. Now, do you know what a 2-ply versus a 3-ply is?
It has 2 little strings
Right.
woven together.
Exactly. So think of like, when you're looking at a rope, right? One of the
Or braiding
guess-
the hair.
Yeah, braiding your hair or but more so
Woven.
rope because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same shape. Older rope too, not the stuff we have today now. But you know how all that, or cables too, how all that is kind of twisted together and threaded together, right? So this one has 2 strands that are kind of twisted together for the length of this thread. And these guys all have 3 strands, okay? Now, I'm actually not positive on the weight of this. I think this is a little bit lighter weight. And the reason for that is because on a serger, you generally have 3 threads at minimum going through that pretty much at all times, unless you're doing a chain stitch, but that's a different stitch. But so that 3 threads kind of makes up for the strength of having only a 2-ply versus sewing machines. They only have 2 threads on them, so they don't need, they have the 3-ply on there basically, okay? So sergers use a lot of threads, so you get some nice big cones on there. But moving on to other threads here, we're going to talk about the differences and what we have in all these guys, okay? So the generic, what are the 2 main types of threads that we have sitting here?
Well, I assume cotton polyester. I didn't
Correct.
look at those.
Perfect. Cotton and polyester, right?
Or a mixture of the 2.
Or a mixture of the 2, yes. So the difference, obviously, is whether it's 100% cotton, 100% polyester, okay? Now, what's the age-old tale of polyester?
Age-old tell.
That you...
Cotton.
What?
Harry just said it's like a cockroach. I'm not
care to
sure if that's
explain on
why
that
we
one?
wanted that in there. But
Fibers is gonna last forever.
oh, okay.
Yes, okay,
The
there you go.
synthetic
So this is-
fiber, it's gonna last forever.
Yes.
I'm not sure if
So-
that's where Jared was going or not.
No,
Where's
where
our
I
polyesters?
was going is how probably you grew up sewing is that when you are piecing, you want to use cotton, right?
Well, with clothing, we used the polyester when I grew up.
Okay, well that's
Yeah.
clothing, and there's a good reason that
Yeah.
pertains to Carrie's comment.
Yeah, it's a
because you're
It lasts
it's
forever.
cockroach. Yeah, it lasts forever. So you know, however many times you wash that polyester is going to hold up. But basically, you know, Grandma taught you to sew with using cotton when you're piecing or quilting.
Yes.
And the reason for that
Yes.
was because
Cotton with
cotton
cotton.
was softer. The threads of the cotton was softer on the threads of your fabric. So it would cause less shear and less, you know, think of it like razor wire, right? Going through your quilt all the time. So you would get a lot less of that action on your quilts. Today, polyester has come a long, long ways. Like
Yes.
think of like the first polyester shirt that you probably ever got. You're like, this thing is, I'm not a fan of it.
It
And then-
lasted forever.
yeah. And then everything you have today is pretty much polyester. I mean, unless you go buy, you know, cotton, right? But, and the reason I'm saying that is because polyester has come a long ways, right? So polyester thread today is a lot smoother and a lot less abrasive on those fabrics as we're sewing along. So you get a whole lot less of that razor wire action inside of your fabrics. So basically today, I mean, you can kind of use polyester.
It's kinder.
Yeah, you can
kinder
use
to your
polyester
fabric.
pretty much anywhere,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, but there's lots of differences even within threads. Now, we still have 100% cotton threads, like we have on our King Tut here, and then we have 100% polyester as well too, like we have on our Omnis. Our Metler thread that we carry here too is also 100% polyester. But just, we have differences between cotton and polyester.
And these are, our quilters here use these all the time.
Omni, correct, yeah.
Yes.
They use that all the time.
For long arm quilting.
Now, also, what I want to talk about in the polyester and threads is the quality of your threads. There's a reason why we carry the brands that we have chosen to carry. And I'm sure, you know, you open up Grandma's cookie tin and that's problem number 1. You should never ever use Grandma's cookie tin thread because most of Grandma's cookie tin thread was cotton thread, and cotton is not like a cockroach, right? So that thread, it wears down, right?
down.
It
And
gets-
think of it, if you go to a museum where they have costumes from way back when, they're fragile. And
Yeah.
they're all 100% cottons.
Yes.
And they're fragile.
Yes. And so you can see, like, we'll have people bring in a sewing machine and they're just complaining of threads breaking right and left. And you look at the thread that they're using, and I can literally just tick, and it just pops apart. And you're like, well, that's why your thread's breaking. I mean, your thread gets kind of abused a little bit as
Yeah.
it goes through your sewing machine,
Yeah.
right? So beyond that, too, is just the quality of different makers of threads. Now, I'm sure everybody on this knows of Coates & Clark, right? So Coates & Clark was, I mean, growing up sewing, that's probably what
yeah.
everybody used, right? And Coates & Clark used to be a very, very, very good brand. But today, they have really brought down their manufacturing. They use a whole lot more glue in their process to put this stuff together. And what the difference is on your thread, think of a rope that's that you pulled out and it's just got knots in it every 10 feet or so. Just that one little tiny knot, not a big old one, but it's got that going along the rope. That's what we see with Coates & Clark these days. And you can literally feel it if you take that thread and just run along it. You can feel
Nubbies.
that
Nubbies.
junk on there, yeah. And that causes a lot of issues if you remember back to my needle talk last week, how it passes through the eye of that needle. Guess what's getting caught on the eye of that needle? And that's gonna do things like make it look like your tension is changing. It's gonna catch your thread, or it's gonna break your needles.
And a lot of, you get a lot of fluff that ends up inside of your
In
machine.
your machine, exactly. A lot of junk that builds up inside of there. So that's why it's important to not only, I mean, my general rule of thumb is don't buy your thread from Joann's,
Well,
period.
you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
If it's 10 spools for $1 or anything like that,
Yeah.
or $1 a spool or anything like that, that's
Just
a
stick
tell.
it right in the trash.
That's a telltale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going on beyond even polyester, I mean, we've got polyester threads in here. And remember, today you can use polyester kind of interchangeably with cotton in terms of regular old quilting and piecing. You still, if you're gonna use Minky, you absolutely wanna use polyester. Don't use cotton on polyester, just because cotton is still cotton. It's the same
But
stuff.
I'm going to ask a question of Carrie because she's our quilter. I know some of you were asked because Minky is just absolutely fabulous on the back of cotton quilts. So you'll make the top cotton, but you want your underside to be Minky. Which one would you recommend, Carrie, to use for that, for quilting it?
Doesn't matter.
They could use a polyester or
Or
cotton
cotton, yeah.
to quilt with. Okay?
And there you go. So
There's
then,
your answer.
Yeah. Then we go on to a couple specialty threads of these everyday threads. And a couple of the ones that we carry as our specialty threads are going to be something like Aurifil or this Quilters Select. Now, why are they special? So let's just start off with Aurifil, because Aurifil is kind of basic. It's 100% cotton thread. We love to piece with it because it is a very well-processed cotton thread that gets a lot less lint in there. Now, if you buy a cheap cotton thread, we're gonna open up your bobbin case and just get with cotton inside of there, right? So Aurifil is a very non-linty, very good thread, and what is also very beneficial about Aurifil is it's a 50 weight. Now, if you guys remember what weight of thread is and how they signify the weight of thread?
I know it has something to do with this is something you explained before, yes. It
Yep.
has something to do with
The length of the
is
thread
a certain
based
weight.
off of a certain weight, right?
yes.
So if we take a certain weight of thread, like 10 grams, right?
It's gonna be a certain
How
weight.
far can that thread stretch, right? Now, if you have a super thin thread and you need 10 grams of thread, that's going to go
really long.
yes. Right? But
So
you
this
have a
would be
super
longer.
thick one, yeah. You have 10 grams of it, it could be only be this long, right? So that's the difference in your weight. So a 50 weight thread is going to be a lighter weight thread that allows you to sew, well, it's really pertinent in the bobbin because you can load more in the bobbin.
Right.
So it's going to go further in your bobbin, and also additionally, because it's that lighter weight, it's a thinner strand of thread, so it makes that piecing a little bit more
For
exact.
that quarter inch,
Yeah, for that
exact.
exact quarter inch. So Aurifil right off the bat is a cool specialty thread, 50 weight and everything. Now, the next two that we have are Quilter Select. Now, these are a really cool thread because they are what we call a cotton wrapped poly thread. Now, this one's a little bit different because I don't know if these are 3-strand or 4-strand. But basically what it is we have a core polyester, just a regular core polyester.
Strand quote, polyester.
Yeah. And then it is wrapped on the outside with cotton. So that way you have the strength of the polyester in the center, so that tensile strength of it, that breaking strength. And then on the outside you have that sheerness of the cotton.
Gentleness, yeah, the
gentleness,
softness.
yeah. So it's really, really nice for the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, and it's a personal preference. You know, we explain this to some people, and they're like, oh no, I don't want polyester near. And then other people say, yeah, I like that idea of the strength of the polyester on the inside
Yeah.
and cotton.
And then what is cool, I'm getting rid of this thing. It's been coming off all day. Now what's really cool about these two, the difference in these two spools, is that this Quilter Select is a 60 weight and this one is an 80 weight. So an 80 weight, we always recommend putting, like we can get matching, I should have
Colors.
grabbed
Yeah,
matching colors
matching
for these
colors,
ones,
yeah.
but you can get matching colors of these two spools. And we
So your
always
thread on the top
recommend-
and thread in your bobbin are the exact same color.
Correct, yeah. So you want to fill your bobbin with this 80 weight because then, I mean, if you're going from a 40 weight to an 80 weight, I don't know the exact science on that, but you're getting probably almost
A lot
50% more thread on your bobbin. So there's people that complain about how, I get it, you know, you run out of bobbin, it's a pain, have to refill it, so 80 weight. It goes a lot further on that piecing. And then up top, you have the 60 weight, which is even skinnier than our Aurifil here. So it's even nicer to get that super fine piecing on this thread as well too. So really cool kind of combination between these two, right? Then, last but not least of our normal threads, quote unquote, is our what we call embroidery thread. Now this doesn't have to be embroidery only thread. You can use this wherever you want.
Yeah.
You can use this, I mean, I've never seen anybody actually piece with it. That'd be kind of weird, but
Yeah.
we absolutely see people quilt with it.
Yeah.
Everything. Machine applique. Now, this is a little bit different because it's still a 3-ply polyester, but it's a little bit sheeny, right? Floriani has a little bit more sheen than Isacord does, but it's still a little bit sheenier. And differences in it, it's also a little bit more slick going through. So if you're using this in a long arm for quilting, which we absolutely have people do, you might have to adjust your tensions a little bit. And same thing, you may not see it so much on your regular sewing machine, everyday sewing, but on your long arm quilting machine, you probably will have to mess with your tensions a little bit just because that it's just a little bit slicker going through your tensions. So it might change stuff up a little bit.
And we have the Floriani, and we have the Isacord, and we also have Glide.
As well too.
Yes, so we have 3 different specific for embroidery thread companies.
Yeah. Now, is there anything you want to add to these before
Well-
I go on to?
Well, the only
Cool
thing,
threads.
we didn't get the serger thread that fluffs out a little bit.
Oh yes, we
Yeah.
do have
Do you know
serger
where
thread
that
that
is, Carrie?
fluffs
Are
out.
you able to run out and get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the woolly nylon. So there is a woolly nylon also, and that one we use in the serger. It's really, really, really cool for rolled hems. And why?
Well, it just fluffs out a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not just plain and flat. It gets,
We'll see if
Kinda
we
hard
can.
to see,
You
yeah.
watch this and see if we can kind of.
show that it's a little fluffy. This is thread that you do
Yeah.
want to be fluffy. You don't want any of your other threads to be
I
fluffy.
don't know if you
But,
can.
yeah, that's
Is
kind
that
of hard.
focusing at all?
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if they can tell. It
If
does
that
have
it's
some
fluffy.
fluff to it, yes.
Does that
Yeah.
help at all?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Got to see it in
So,
person.
you gotta see it in person. But what this does, whoa, as your serger, you put this in your looper, and what it does is as you're serging, it fluffs
Metallic.
out, right? So it's really, really nice on those rolled hems because as it fluffs out, it fills
Fills
in
in
all that space.
space.
So it looks like a truly solid rolled hem,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Whereas if you're using this, even if you go all the way down on your stitch
You'll
length,
see
then
some
you're going to
space
have a
in
ton of
between.
thread
Yeah.
for one, and it's going to be really thick, but you'll have a little bit of space. So this is really, really good to fill that and just kind of flatten that out. This should be more in this pile than anything else.
Yeah.
But, oh, and this guy. Anything
Okay.
to add to these before I go to this pile?
No, I think that's good. Was there any questions from anyone?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
everybody's just listening right
Listening, yeah.
now.
Did you know there was so much to know about thread?
Right? Then you get on to the cool threads, the different threads. The very first one to start off with is what we call a monopoly. Jeez. All right.
Oh,
All right, cut it off. That's enough.
Gary keeps bringing more.
Right? This is the first one to start off with monopoly, okay? This is, some people love it and some people hate it. And I think the people that hate it in general hate it because they don't necessarily know how
Understand
to
it,
work with
yeah.
it quite yet, right?
Or they use the original nylon thread, which was stretchy.
Oh, got it. So Carrie said the original nylon thread was stretchy,
Stretchy.
and that would cause
might have
a
had a bit-
world of issues
Oh,
with your
especially
machine.
when they put it on their bobbin.
Yeah, that would cause a world of issues. So monopoly is what we call invisible thread. Now, the easiest thing I can equate this to is fishing line, a super thin fishing
Super
line.
fine,
Yeah.
super fine.
So it's not quote unquote invisible, but it is that clear thread that and it's so fine that you can't really see it. So if you, I know a lot of dress pants on the bottom. What's
Hem?
that? Blend hem. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
blind
one.
hem.
They'll use this because it just is
Blends in.
invisible, right?
And it
Blends in.
comes in the white and smoke.
Yes. So there's a couple things about this though that you have to, let's talk about how to use this first of all. So the very first thing Carrie had on this was a thread net. So the thread net really helps maintain
Because
this.
we've been using this one.
Yes,
This
because
is
we've
not
been
a
using
useful-
this. It's hard to maintain because this is like a very springy thread. And it can come right off, and then you're like, it's everywhere. But also, additionally, is knowing how to use this spool. And this is where stuff like horizontal spool pins come in very, very, very handy because this thread is wound on the machine like this. So,
It's compared to a lot of other threads, you can see they cross.
They
when they're-
cross-wind,
when
yes.
they're- Yes.
this one is
cross-wind.
not. It comes right
just
off the
straight.
spool like this. So this is where stuff like a horizontal spool pin comes really into benefit, is because with that horizontal spool pin, now that thread is coming off the exact same way, and it's really pertinent on this thread because it's not getting twisted,
Right.
And that twist, anytime you twist something, it's shortening the length of that. So as you're going through the machine, you got all these twists and everything, it starts to cause issues and breaks and all kinds of stuff, and that is 90% of the reason why people hate monopoly. But you just have to learn to work with it.
Yes, and what he's saying is true. You definitely have to have that spool coming off
Yeah.
instead of pulling up
Yeah.
because, yeah, it becomes a mess.
There are a couple other things with this thread. This thread is very abrasive. It's very strong. So if you're using this all the time, we see a whole lot more wear and tear on your machine. Specifically on your check spring, which is basically what keeps your thread taut as it's going through your machine at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It will actually wear a groove inside of that check spring. Also, if you're using it a ton, you can see it in your thread guides because those are thicker. Your check spring is just a thin piece of wire. But also in your tension unit itself. So it will actually wear a groove in there. So if you're using this thread a ton, something to be aware of, right? It's a little bit more taxing on your machine.
Yeah,
So that's our
some-
kinda in-betweener.
If you do use it, I know some people say do not use it ever, ever, ever in your bobbin. But a million years ago, when I didn't know anything, I did some quilting with 2 quilts with this in my bobbin before anyone told me I couldn't. So
You can-
you can use
You
it.
can.
Use them together.
Yeah.
I did. I did.
You can. It's just you're gonna
Not a good
you're gonna be
suggestion.
playing. Just know how to use your machine and
And-
adjust things and adjust tensions.
And if you, when
can
you
do
wind,
it.
if you use it in a bobbin and you wind your bobbin, you gotta slow that down because it can stretch. And,
Yes.
And we've had people wind them and then they can't even get their bobbin off because it has tightened down that bobbin
Oh.
so much
Yeah.
onto the machine. And the only thing you can do is take all the thread off to get the bobbin off.
In that case, I probably wouldn't use your bobbin winding tension and just
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
hold it in your
Yes.
hands.
Yes.
All right, so going on to that's our kind of in between our thread. But these are what we have really specialty thread, okay? So the first two that I want to start off with are these guys. These are Floriani and Yenment
Metallic.
metallic
Metallics.
threads. Now these are very, very similar to what we have on our embroidery threads, but they're a metallic thread, and these are similar to kind of what we have with the monopoly and what they're really springy, right? They're kind of fun to mess with, and they look really cool.
Yes,
they
they're
look
very, very
really cool.
decorative, yes.
They're very shiny. We sell a lot of these, especially during the holidays, because green, red, and silver and stuff like that. It's really cool to just put that dimension on your product. But you got to learn how to work with this one also. And these are the ones that people tend to put in a coffee mug 13 feet away from their machine. And the reason for that is it lets that thread relax as it comes off the spool. So you get less, this thread can actually kink because it's metallic, right? So it can kink, like think of that loop that you got going and then gets pulled taut and it can actually kink. So on this, you want to maintain it so that it's really coming off there smoothly. And what is that?
Somebody's working in our ceiling.
I think it's Sharon,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay.
So you really want to make sure it's coming off smoothly so it's not getting looped up and pulled off and kinked and stuff like that. Because then as it goes through your machine, it causes more issues. Other things that you want to use is a top stitch needle because the
Yeah,
eye of that
use the
needle is
right
going to be
needle.
a little bit bigger. Let more of that thread pass through easier.
Slow your machine down
So
if you're
on.
embroidering. Don't have it at the highest speed.
Yeah, slow down. Slow down. That's
Yes.
one huge thing.
That's a big
There's
problem a
also
lot of
some-
people have.
There's also other
don't slow it down.
products like Sewer's Aid, which is a silicone-based lubricant. You can put a couple drops on this, or maybe like what the bank tellers used to have, that little wet pad.
Yeah.
Something kind of similar to that, or the what you use in hand piecing, wax, right? Something
yeah.
similar to kind of like that, where you can have that go through there just so it can go through your machine smoothly, right? So those are cool threads. Yeah. Then we get into glow-in-the-dark thread. I think this one's self-explanatory. It's glow-in-the-dark. It's cool. You can use it on some awesome stuff. Kids projects, Halloween projects.
They come in a variety of colors.
cool.
And what you'll see this one happens to be purple, and there's pink ones out there, green ones out there, but they all glow that yellowish look.
Yeah.
The reason you have the different colors here is the look that you want on your project itself when it's not glowing in the dark.
Yeah. And this one, I don't think there's really any issues using this one. You don't have to do anything kind of weird with this or anything, but it's a pretty good thread. It's just cool, just
Yeah.
dots of different
Lots of
actions.
fun.
So,
I saw somebody do a complete embroidered out dinosaur, the skeleton of a dinosaur.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was so, so fun to see
Awesome.
in the dark.
So going on to our last two threads, how'd your thought process go?
The Vanish. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
it's for
basting. So
the
this
Vanish
is
washes
a
away.
water-soluble thread.
So be careful.
yeah, be careful. Use
that
it
you
on
don't
the
think
right
it's
project.
embroidery thread, and then
Yeah. Carrie said great use for this is basting. So that's really smart because then you baste it, wash your quilt,
it's
gone, right?
Yes.
So that's a really cool water-soluble thread. Works pretty normal. You don't really need anything special with this guy, but awesome product. And then one product I think is really cool that they came out with is Press and Bond thread. This is a glue thread that a heat-activated glue, right? Think of hot glue. So one thing I think is really cool about this is when people use this in their sergers to do their binding. You can put this in the loopers of your serger, and for those of you that don't know, don't know anything about sergers, they have what you call a looper, and a looper goes around. Here's my fabric. And so your looper goes around the edge of your fabric. So a serger, an overlocker, is really good at finishing the edge of your raw edge of your project. So with this, you'll put this in the looper of your serger, and so that's going to go around the edge of your product, of your quilt, right? So what you can do is you can serge the entire edge of your quilt, then you can top stitch that, top stitch your binding on, and then it just folded around and you just press it, and it's done. It's in place. And this is a permanent glue too. I mean, if you really want the insurance, you could go back afterwards and stitch that down
Right.
again.
Yes, you could.
But I know binding
And
is
it
always
would
a
have
bane
it
of
just in a
people's-
great little, it would be lined up really nice. Just
Yeah.
be able to sew it down if
Yeah.
you wanted to. But you don't have to, like Jared said.
Yeah. So
It's not going to wash out.
yeah, it's not going to wash out. It's a permanent thing. I mean, sure, maybe 100 years down the road, washing it all the
No,
time, but
yeah.
that's glue, right? So it's a really cool, just heat-activated thread. So that's it.
That's
I
what
mean,
we
that's
have for
that's
today.
what we have for thread, and I mean, I just can't stress enough how important it is to use those quality threads. Because if you don't use those quality threads, you're gonna have problems with project. You're gonna see me for service more often. So on and
Use
so
the right
forth.
needle, the right foot, the right thread, and you'll have a lot less problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I believe that is it. You have any closing comments on threads?
I do not. You were pretty thorough there. Hopefully everybody got something out of this and
Yeah.
share it with your friends.
If you have any questions, our phone numbers are down there at the bottom. And as always, make sure you please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our videos. Share it with your friends so everybody gets to join in and be knowledgeable on how good threads are. But yeah, just give us a call if you have any questions. Otherwise, we will see you
And
next week.
15% off of everything that Carrie and I showed today through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.
All right, thanks.
Bye.